Namaste. I'm Dimple, the Director of Academic Programs at Indica, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this overview webinar for our upcoming Indica course, Yoga Vasishta Sara. This overview webinar series serves as a platform for participants to get a detailed understanding of what each Indica course offers, helping them make informed enrollment choices. Today, we will be focusing on the Yoga Vasishta Sara Indica course, which delves into a condensed, powerful version of the timeless Yoga Vasishta, exploring its essence essentially. Before diving into the course details, I would like to take some time to share a bit about Indica. We are an institution dedicated to the promotion and preservation of Indian knowledge systems. Our mission is to foster authentic, immersive, and transformative learning experiences and to support change makers in fulfilling their potential and contributing to society. Through Indica courses, we aim to bridge ancient wisdom with modern day learning, making IKS accessible to learners across the globe. I would encourage you to visit Indica.in and Indica.courses to know more about the work we do. Today's course, Yoga Vasishta Sara, offers an in-depth exploration of a condensed version of the massive Yoga Vasishta attributed to Maharshi Valmiki. While the original text encompasses about 32,000 shlokas, the Sara focuses on just 223 shlokas across 10 chapters. The course is designed to help participants not only understand but also apply these profound teachings in the context of modern challenges. The course runs from December 18th, 2024 to April 9th, 2025 with live sessions every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST. Each session will cover key ideas, explanations, and practical applications, and there will be opportunities for Q&A to deepen your understanding. We are honored to have today Dr. Rajshekar Krishnan as a faculty for this course. Dr. Krishnan brings over 35 years of experience in leadership and organizational development. With a PhD in personality traits, spiritual transcendence, and leadership styles in India, he has worked across engineering, hospitality, IT, and consultancy sectors, contributing to reputed organizations such as NIIT, Flipkart, and IBM. Currently, he's an entrepreneur and founder of Veda Consultants, providing leadership and organizational development services to businesses and educational organizations. A lifelong spiritual seeker and a dedicated student of Indian scriptures, Dr. Krishnan has a deep connection with Advaita Vedanta and draws inspiration from Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. We are fortunate to have such an accomplished and insightful guide to lead us through the Yoga Vasishta Sara Indica course. With that, I would now like to hand over to Dr. Rajshekar Krishnan, who will provide a very detailed overview of this Indica course and share how it can be an impactful addition to your personal and spiritual growth. Over to you, Dr. Krishnan.
Thank you, Dimpleji, for your kind words. Of course, thank you for the opportunity to conduct the course, which leads us to conducting this introductory part. Let me begin by sharing the slide deck so that we have a visual aid to understanding the introduction. So I shall put that up here. And here we are. So yes, I hope you're able to see the title slide.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for confirming that. And I'll begin with the invocation or prayer. And this is the set of 3 shlokas that are always read and are, in fact, at the beginning of the Yoga Vasishta itself. So here I go. Yatas sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatrevopashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Gyata jnanam tatha gyeyam drishta darshana drishya bhuh karta hetu kriya yasmat tasme gyasyatmane namaha. Spuranti sikara yasma danandasyam bare vanau sarvesham jivanam tasme Brahmanandatmane namaha. And what does this mean? Yatas sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sitani cha yatrevo pashavam yanti tasme satyatmane namaha. Salutations to that reality in which all animate and inanimate beings shine, as if they have an independent existence, and in which they exist for a time, and into which they merge. So you can see a lot of depth in the first introductory shloka itself. Then, Jnanam Gyata Jnanam Tatha Geyam Drishta Darshana Drishyabhuhu Karta Hetu Kriya Yasmat Tasmai Gyasyatmane Namaha, which means salutations to that consciousness which is the source of the apparently distinct threefold divisions of Gyata Jnanam Geyam, knowledge, knower and the known, seer, sight and seen, Drishta Darshana Drishyabhu, and Karta Hetu Kriya, which is doer, doing and the deed. Wonderful. And the last one, salutations to that bliss, absolute, the ocean of bliss, which is the life of all beings whose happiness and unfoldment are derived from the shower of spray from the ocean of bliss. So, very high philosophical introduction. So, you must be wondering what is there in Yoga Vasishta Sara. So, we will take you through understanding what is in the Yoga Vasishta Sara by following a very modern format, which you would be all familiar with, which is what, why, when, who, where, and how. So this is how I'm going to be taking you through the next 1 hour or 55 minutes that we have. And hopefully we will have a lot of time for Q&A. I look forward to the questions from your side, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. But we will first go through primarily what, then why and how, which would be nearly half of the presentation time. And then, of course, Q&A with the who, where, and when, which are subsidiary portions of this quest into understanding Yoga Vasishta Sara. So what do we have in what? So what do we have in what? And therefore, we have, of course, this name Yoga Vasishta Sara. And you find that it is perched at the bottom of the slide called Maharamayana or Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana. It's got other names too. And but we need to understand the origin in one sense, and therefore we look at the Ramayana. And Ramayana, of course, is there in Sanskrit, in the form of Adikavi Valmiki's Adikavya Ramayana. And of course, you have beyond Sanskrit, the Ramayana in very many Indian languages. The Ramcharitmanas, Kamba Ramayana are very well known. But our focus and our primary source, in fact, of the subsequent Ramayanas that you find mentioned here on the slide, as well as the other Ramayanas, is the Valmiki Ramayana, which has got 24,000 verses, shlokas. It's in 6 kandas, which are accepted. The supplementary kanda is always subject to a certain amount of scholarly discretion, because that is where some of the controversial aspects of Rama's character, which are always a question of why he did this or why he didn't do something else. But nevertheless, traditionally 7 kandas are taken to be a part of Valmiki's Ramayana. Then you have the Adhyatma Ramayana, which is from the Brahmanda Purana. It's the spiritual version of the story. Then you have the Ananda Ramayana, which is about the joy of Rama. The Adbhuta Ramayana, which takes a Shakti aspect of Ramayana, in fact, looks at Sita as Parashakti and takes the story forward in that sense. Then you have Tattva Sangraha Ramayana, which is composed of, these are all subsequent compositions, and therefore there's a timeline to their composition. And the Sangraha Ramayana, these are all minor Ramayanas, which are known perhaps only to scholars and not to the general public or to the Sampradayas, which have come down from the composers of these Ramayanas. And then you have this very fantastic composition, which is the Maharamayana or the Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana, as it is called, and I'll be talking a little more about that. So, as I said, it's sometimes called Brihat Yoga Vasishta, that is great Yoga Vasishta, because it has 32,000 verses reputedly. However, on count of the current manuscripts, about 27,870 odd. So some of the verses are lost perhaps. But the manuscript is kind of linearly flowing, so one would not really know, because you might always feel that the first and the last pages are lost, but it's not like that. So probably some of the shlokas were lost in editing, because what we have is linearly progressive, comprehensive work. It's called Maharamayana, Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana, Yoga Vasishta Ramayana. And in one sense, very broadly speaking, it can be taken to be the equivalent of the Gita in the Mahabharata. The Gita, just 700 shlokas. whereas this is 32,000/27,000 shlokas. But the poignant situation is the same. In the Mahabharata, the occasion of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is in despair, and here too, in the Yoga Vasishta, Rama is in despair. But this is before any war. This is when he's a young lad of 15, of course. We call him young lad, but then obviously, he's a avatara, but who's not yet come into the action mode that we have associated him with. So he goes on a tirtha, and then after going to a tirtha yatra across many of the holy places in India, he comes back with a realization that much of what we see around us is full of despair and depression and unhappiness, and therefore he sits down saying that I'm going to renounce the world. And of course, Vishwamitra, who happens to be there, says that you need to have yoga knowledge from Vasishtha, of course the Kula Guru. And the Yoga Vasishta is the conversation that happened between Rama, the young Rama, so to speak, and of course the very great sage Vasishta. And the 27,000 verses currently available are spread across 6 prakranas or chapters, and they are wonderful in the sense that it is let me put it this way before I come to why. It is full of Advaita Vedanta in one sense, and it is full of stories and illustrations. It is an underrated text, I would say, of the Indian tradition because of its size. But the very size is such that the kind of explanation you get in that will make the matter crystal clear. So there are stories and examples, and there are so many interesting analogies that actually I have a battery of books right behind this laptop on my desk, which are all the Yoga Vasishta books that I have. And it has always piqued my curiosity because this is a text about which not much of spiritual discoursing happens. And of course, I'll come back to more about the Yoga Vasishta because we are not going to be going into the Yoga Vasishta. But let me give you a few reasons, and then we'll do a little back and forth between the what and the why and the how, because that's going to be the cream of the presentation here. So we'll go to why. Why all this? Of course, the primary reason has been given to you. It was to bring Rama out of depression and to tell him how to handle the world. But I mean, here there are a few of the statements that I have recorded from some of the people who have commented that not just because he was a god, or not just because he was an idol as well as an ideal. Idol is like a role model, someone whom you look up to, a hero. And of course, we all know the amount of jubilation and joy on the Rama Janmabhoomi temple being consecrated at the beginning of this year. But the fact is that he is the Maryada Purushottam. He became a perfect human being. And the message that we have in the Yoga Vasishta is for each one of us is how to become the best person you can by applying the principles of Sage Vasishta in your own life. Because at the end of the day, while it may be the story of Rama that would inspire us, each one of us would want to make our own selves to be higher than what we are today. So now, before I come to course objectives, I must speak about a few things which are typically found in any text. So there is always something in terms of the phala or the benefit you get. So I'm going to be, in fact, I couldn't put everything on the slide. So I'm going to be reading something very interesting, which is from one of the books that I have. It's the introduction, and then it says that the reason why we should go through this is, I'm just pulling out the page for you. Translator's preface. Okay, so here we are. So this is a smaller version of the book. So of course, as I mean, hopefully you will join the course. I'll be introducing you to the textual library that's available. But here I'm stating something for you. When this scripture is heard, meditated upon, and understood, there is nothing whatever, such as austerity, meditation, or repetition of sacred words, that is of use to a man here for attainment or liberation. There is no other scripture that removes the ignorance of those with intellects refined as little as this scripture does when listened to. Having heard these holy means of liberation producing the benefit of direct experience of the self, even a child goes to that state of being the knower. What need one say about a person like you? It is the destroyer of all misery and a great comforter of the heart. It ends both pleasure and pain and is one cause of supreme bliss. The intellect of one displaying nobility hears the scripture daily, attains to enlightenment even beyond the perception of ordinary knowledge. There is no doubt about this. So you may say that these are all tall claims, but then I must also say that, to be obviously capable of doing the course here, I have been through the Yoga Vasishta myself. So it's not that, I'm simply making a statement by reading someone else's experience, but it's also my personal experience that the kind of clarity we get by reading the Yoga Vasishta and the perspective it gives us truly makes us wiser than what we are, and we really benefit because, in fact, I may make a tall claim here that if actually you read the Yoga Vasishta Sara, and I believe, of course, it may be a highly biased reason why I'm saying this, it would put all the swamis out of business because there is such an amount of clarity. There is actually no need for you to repetitively hear so many things that you do here. But we will understand a little more about this whole business of sadhana and repetition as we go along now. So the simple sort of reason as to why we should read the Yoga Vasishta is it is an immensely practical text. And we will be looking at a version of the text, which is the essence of the text, as we are going to be explaining further. So it is to provide, so the objectives of this course are to provide a very clear understanding of the key ideas in philosophy. So underlined is key ideas because, we obviously are not going to be going through the 32,000 verses. And more importantly, their application to the 21st century Bharat and the world. Because there has been this constant, at least for the past few years, the need for Bharatiyata to be experienced more by the intelligentsia. There is a certain amount of Bharatiyata that you find in the rural areas, but that is one variety which could be upgraded. But unless the leaders of society like you who are here in this introductory session, when you get some of the clearer ideas, obviously, you'll be able to help yourself in the first place, as well as help secure the future of this nation, which is crucial for the world in many, many ways. So that's the course objective. And the outcome is, of course, like the objective, this is to provide a comprehensive exposure and a very clear knowledge of how to apply these ideas in the modern and current context. And there'll be a constant reflection on what does this mean for me in the context that I am in, your own personal context as well as our own civilizational context, because I would believe that this is, I do not know whether there are very many Yoga Vasishta Sara expositions that are done, but this, I would believe, at least in my experience, would be something of a first, a pioneering effort to put this in a shortened format, because books are available, but books to a course is where the leap has to be made, and I'm sure that this would be of great value to you. Now, the question is, okay, you may say that, I've heard at least broadly what the Yoga Vasishta is, and, there could be a compelling reason, but how are we going to go about doing this? Because the how is very important, because that's where we get into details. And as is said, in those of us, since I've had a corporate career, we've always said, the devil is in the details, how you execute a strategy. So how do we execute on this very broad understanding of the philosophical depth, of the clarity, of the purposefulness of the text? So how is the question? And of course, I have brought a little diagram to you, which is a restatement visually of what was said earlier on by Dimpleji, which is 32,000 to 6,000 to 223. So I would say that while on one hand, you can think of this as a step down transformer, kind of, 11 kV to 440 volts to 220 volts. That's one way. That's purely in terms of size. But in terms of the essence, you have the great ocean, and then you have the river, and then you have the condensed version, which is more potent, So it is like going from the periphery of the atom to the nucleus of the atom to the proton, and we all know that the number of protons is what gives the atomic number. So 223 is the kind of atomic number. Of course, we all know that there is no element that exists at a 223 level, but you could take this to be the Yoga Vasishta element or elementary or key essence of the Yoga Vasishta, and therefore, of great importance. And we are looking at, therefore, the key and the stronger elements, the deeper elements of the entire Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana. So how are we going to do this? So what's the course plan? The course plan is along these lines. I'm going to share this. So see, each session is going to be of 90 minutes, and you can see that we have planned this across 17 sessions. So from the second session to the 16th session, we are going to be taking about 15 shlokas per session, and then of course these will be overlapping the various chapters. So these are all the sessions and these are all the chapters. So chapters have got differing number of shlokas, and therefore you can imagine the shlokas are going to get distributed across the various sessions. So, and these are the names of the chapters with detachment, unreal nature of the universe, and so on and so forth. So I'll not have you think too much about the titles as they are given in English, because we know that English is a very poor language for many of the things, and therefore we have the Sanskrit part of it, as you would be seeing further. But what we are doing is we are doing full justice to the condensation. And a little bit about the condensation. The Yoga Vasishta Sara is rather, let me begin at the wider version. So the Yoga Vasishta itself is supposedly I'm saying, because scholars will always disagree, is the composition of Valmiki. Then the condensation called Laghu Yoga Vasishta, and let me come back to the slide here so that we can go back to this. So the Laghu Yoga Vasishta of 6,000 verses is by Abhinanda Gaud Pandita of Kashmir. And he would obviously have gone through the 32,000 verses n number of times to be able to pick out 6,000 key verses. This is available currently, as is, of course, the Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana. There are versions in Hindi and versions in English also. And the Yoga Vasishta Sara, like some of the greatest things in Indian philosophical tradition, nobody knows who compiled it. But obviously, it would be a saint of the highest order, because from the Yoga Vasishta, not necessarily from the Laghu Yoga Vasishta. Now, you might think it's a kind of linear process, but no, some of the Yoga Vasishta Sara shlokas are not there in the Laghu Yoga Vasishta. Therefore, one would come to the conclusion that the 32,000 verses were distilled to 223, though for us who might want to understand it in a certain sequence, this makes it logically relevant. But 32,000 to 223 without losing the essence is quite a bit of editorial and essential capability. So having said that, and having looked at, so I find a question in the chat, which is, okay, you can enroll. That's what it is. Okay. So how would each 90-minute session look like? Yeah, I must talk about the opening session. So let me go back to, because obviously we would need 15 sessions. Now the question would be, what are we doing with 17 sessions? So I'll go back a slide, 1 minute. Oh, we're jumping ahead. Let me go back to the spreadsheet. And here you are. So we find an introduction to the Yoga Vasishta, where we'll be delving deeper into the Yoga Vasishta, the 32,000 verses, for about half an hour. Then we'll be looking at half an hour into the Laghu Yoga Vasishta and how the condensation and what are the key takeaways from there. And then we'll go to the Yoga Vasishta Sara and its various translators. and their approaches and so on and so forth. So it will take you in a funnel fashion from the 32,000 to the 223. And of course, the 223 are going to be dealt with across these sessions till number 60. But thereafter, interestingly, the concluding session is going to be on the sadhana or the operationalizing of the Yoga Vasishta. So obviously, an important text like this could not have gone without many sadhaks and saints going through it. So what is the prescription they have of, in fact, you find the prescriptions within the Yoga Vasishta itself. Many of us, when we think of pranayama, may be thinking of the alternate anuloma viloma, but then the Yoga Vasishta also gives a method of pranayama, which is unusual and which was intuitively arrived at by Ramana Maharshi, my own guru. And therefore, you'll find a lot of startling things supporting the claim of the Yoga Vasishta to be giving you a lot of interesting knowledge. So that is what we'll be doing. I'll be going back to the course plan and to the 90-minute session. Now, in the 90-minute session, you will find that the most important part of it is the 60 minutes that we are going to be devoting to the shlokas themselves. So how are the shlokas going to be explained is a question that you would have. And here we are. So this is, in fact, the second verse of the 223. I'll chant it out for you. Aham baddho vimuktah syamiti yasyasti nishchayah natyantamagyo notagyah so asmin chastre dhikaravan. So we have a word-to-word breakup, which is the padached as we call it. So aham, I am, baddho, bound, vimuktah, free, syamiti, I will be, thus, yasyasti, whose is, nishchaya, determination. Of course, you must understand that in poetic form and of course in Sanskrit, the words need not be in the gadya or the prose order, but of course, this is just the padached as it exists in the shloka and not the anvaya, which is the reordering. So looking at the second line, na atyantam agyo, I am not altogether ignorant, agyo, no tagya, nor am I a full knower of the truth. So if I say stuff like that, so that person, asmin shastre adhikaravan, he is the adhikari, he is the competent person to read this. So this basically is giving, for whom is this entire Yoga Vasishta meant? So I have here 3 translations for you captured over different periods of time, which tell you how the English language changes. But of course, each one of them provides a facet of understanding the shloka itself. So one convinced of his constraint in this mortal world and desiring his liberation from it, and who is neither wholly ignorant nor quite conversant with divine knowledge, is entitled to the perusal of this work. This is Vihari Lal Mitra's 1891 translation. Neither one who is totally ignorant nor one who knows the truth is eligible to study this book. Only he who thinks, I am bound, I must be free, is entitled to study it. He alone is competent to, this is from the Ramana Ashram by one of the Swamis there. It came in their magazine called The Mountain Path way back in 1969. And of course, the 223 shlokas were serialized, for a period of 2 years that you can see there. And then we have this latest publication from the R.K. Matha or R.K. Mutt. So he alone is competent to study the scripture, who is neither altogether ignorant nor a knower of truth, and who has a firm determination. I am bound in the world bondage, intend to be liberated from the state of bondage. So you can see that there is a progressive understanding that we develop. But further to all this, that you would definitely find for each shloka, and there'll be 15 shlokas because 223 and we have 17 sessions, we would also have a special note which looks at some of the commentaries. So here is a commentary for the shloka to get you to appreciate the feel that we would have for the 15 shlokas in each of the sessions, which is a 1.5 hour session, is the 2 types of students eligible to study Vedanta, which is Mukhya, that is, the student instantly gains knowledge on hearing just a word from the teacher. So there are many instances of this where, there was just that spark needed and self-realization attained. Now, many of us are not Mukhya. In fact, we are Mukhya students. We would not be here for this course in the first place. So we are all Amukhya students or secondary. And there also, there are ways in which we can classify them. So there are two ways. One is Vichara Marga, where you have Shravana and Manana, and you constantly do Shravana and Manana, which is you constantly engage yourself with the text or with what the teacher has to say, and that develops in Vairagya, which results in Nididhyasana, or your internal absorption of the message and living the message. So purely in terms of the English language, you can say Shravana and Manana is becoming, and Nididhyasana is being. Therefore, we all want to be in a state of being, and the Vichara Marga leads us to that state. Or Dhyana Marga, which is straight away trying to be in a state of being, but in little quantums of time, and slowly building up so that our entire 24 hours is in a state of being. So these are two methods. Another way of looking at it, which I personally like a lot, because this is a lot of most of us, is the path of the pipalika, or the path of the ant. Now the ant can only pick up that much size of the sugar crystal that it can. Beyond that, it would have to give it to a stronger ant, but it definitely cannot carry 2 grains of sugar. So you have to do what you have to do. And one fine day, of course, the ant will get liberated, because it would come to that big store of sugar and it would be able to, drown itself in sugar. But it has to do its little bit to contribute to its own growth. And then you have the second part, which is Vihangam or Shuka. So this is also like the Pipalika in one sense, that you keep doing what you're doing, you keep pecking away at what you are, your sadhana is. But the slight difference lies in not the build-up that it happens in the case of the ant, but like the parrot which has been pecking away at the bark of the fruit, and then suddenly the fruit skin breaks and it is able to gulp the sweet, delicious mango or whatever fruit. And once you are able to grasp the mango, you don't need to eat more of the mango. So it's like the amukhya being transformed into a mukhya. So we will all become mukhyas, we will all become shukas, but we cannot presume that. We have to keep our sort of effort up in the Pipalika range. And this gives you great hope, because it also tells you that unless you do your sadhana every day, you cannot hope for any kind of change to happen. And that this was recognized by our forefathers, and they gave it such a graphic name based on their observation of nature, makes you feel good. So I would like to be a Pipalika and then become a Shuka, is how I would look at it. Of course, in the traditional Advaita Vedanta, we have Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, Samadama, Shamadama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana, and Mukshutva. So this is how this particular shloka is being interpreted, and this would be there for each of the other 14 shlokas that are going to be there in a session. And then we'll have, of course, Q&A in the session, which is what we are saying here. So it's not going to be one-way transmission from our side. You can, and at some point in time, I always tell that you can stop me in between a shloka if it is very important, and we will take up the discussion. Or we have, as I said, in the earlier one here, so we have Q&A for 20 minutes, and these 20 minutes can be either at the end or it can be interspersed. It all depends upon how the session flows. So coming back to how we are going to be learning, so there's flexible learning. So in case you are unable to attend, there is a class recording available, and of course, whatever materials I use, the PowerPoints that I'm going to be creating specially for this, they are not available. They have to be put together from various sources, the commentary and the shloka, and of course, it has to be capable of being put in a PowerPoint format. So all this will get done, and that's the benefit you have from being a part of this course. Of course, you can always read. I can always read the book is what you can say, but nothing like a live interaction is what I would say based on the conduct of previous such sessions. I'll, of course, share something very unique about this. And here I'm going to hand over to Dimple Ji, because this is a first that we are going to be having in the effort that Indica has. So over to you, Dimple Ji, for your explanation and exposition. And
Sure. Thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you for taking us through the contours of this uniquely curated course. And I must reiterate that for all the courses that We have had the privilege of having Dr. Krishnan as our faculty. The reading material or the texts that he sources are humongous. The translations are numerous. So when he was saying that, the decks or the course material that he prepares will be available on the portal, that was just an understatement. The way Yoga Vasishta Sara is a distillation, the material that Rajshekar ji creates, the learning resources are also a distillation. So it definitely is incredible, the amount of work that he puts in, and the passion that he brings. So you have to actually experience his class to understand what I'm trying to emphasize. Without taking much time, let me come back to the important aspect for which Rajshekar ji drew me to this particular session is we generally have online courses. We also offer in-person workshops. We conducted 5 such workshops last year. One was in Hyderabad, and there were 4 in Bangalore. And this time, while ideally we would, want the ancient system of even teaching emulated, but we have constraints. People are remotely situated, and if we were to insist on that, then we would not have the kind of global participation that we see generally. People from more than 20 plus countries attend our courses, which is a privilege also. So in this particular course, we're just trying to do a unique innovation starting from this year. So while the course will be obviously conducted online, and the details have been shared by Rajshekar ji already, we are also working towards a 2-day immersion, which would be the entire cohort that enrolls, and the number of participants who are there till the end of the course, the people who are eligible for, certificates, etc. We will be inviting them on obviously a mutually pre-decided dates and all for a weekend to our ashram facility in Bangalore. It is called Ritambra, and the way we live there is in a very sattvic manner, and you will get to experience what we mean when we say that our offerings are essentially an offering to Bhagwan. So the intent and the integrity with which we curate each course and how we want it to be experienced by our participants, you will get to feel it. Like you begin with the Homa in the morning, the way the whole day is created for you. It will be a very, very different experience. So while you have your 17 sessions, you are there online, you understand, then you get to engage with your fellow participants in person. You get to engage with your acharya, your guru in person. And please understand that there is no additional charge for this. We will be providing you the 2-day accommodation free of charge at our facility. But you will just have to make sure that you arrange your own travel. In special cases, you can always write to us and we'll see if we can help to some extent. So we are a non-profit, as you're aware, but we stretch ourselves thin to ensure that we really present to you offerings, experiences, as I mentioned at the beginning, authentic, transformative. This is the element, that transformative element that we intend to experiment with from this year going onwards. So, and we are so grateful to Rajshekar ji that he agreed to do this. So thank you so much, Rajshekar ji. Over to you again.
Thank you. I would never have disagreed because it is such a wonderful opportunity also to meet the participants face to face. Because while, of course, we have the reason of distance, for us to be virtually connecting, but the face-to-face connect is always something which is extremely wonderful. So I'm indeed glad that there is an opportunity for such connect, and I do look forward to that. Now, on a kind of concluding note, in one sense, there are 2 types of scriptures. So one is called accumulative, and the other, see, the Indian panorama of scriptures is vast, and every one of the scriptures will claim that if you study me, there's a falashruti for every scripture. So in this Maharanyam, great forest of scriptures, how do we separate out what's useful to me? Because again, this vast variety has been created because there are that many types of human beings, and there is this great variety of personality that each one of us is disposed to. So one category is called accumulative, kind of linear, what is called prakarana gantha or prakriya gantha, which is linear exposition of ideas, and one shloka logically follows the other as a conversation or as an exposition of a philosophical principle, like you would find in Panchadashi or Viveka Chudamani or Tattva Bodha. So it's basically laying out a process, giving you definitions, and so on and so forth. The second category of scriptures, which is on the right side, is called assimilative, in the sense that it is each shloka, while obviously it's not a random collection of shlokas, they're all bunched together. They also have a standalone significance, and they are what are called Siddhanta Granthas. They are the outcomes of the process. What is my realization? What is the learning? So the Yoga Vasishta Sara is a Siddhanta Grantha. Of course, the Yoga Vasishta itself is a combination of a Prakriya Grantha and a Siddhanta Grantha, but mainly Siddhanta. But the Yoga Vasishta Sara, being the condensation, is Siddhanta only, and therefore it presents you results, and the results, of course, need some exposition. So, yeah, before going to who, one final point about the Yoga Vasishta Sara is somewhat like this, or Yoga Vasishta itself, I would like to share. And it's an interesting insight that occurred while I was creating the slide deck. So, many of us have seen sitcoms that are there in the popular television, and these are usually Saas Bahu sitcoms. You must be wondering, what are we talking about? Saas Bahu sitcoms and Yoga Vasishta Sara. So let me put the connection across. There is never ever any serial about Sasur Damad. Okay. Now, this truly Yoga Vasishta is Sasur and Damad connection, and I'll explain to you how. The Damad is, of course, Lord Rama, and it took 32,000 verses to 6,000 to 223 verses to get him back on track. The Sasur is Janaka, and Janaka is that renowned king, very, very famous, wise king. And for him to get self-realization, it just took 300 verses in the Ashtavakra Gita. So we are beginning with the Damad, and we will also go to the Sasur after this course is over. I wanted to share this with you. Now, coming to who, of course, I'm very grateful to Dimple ji and her team, Abhishek ji and Pranita ji. Of course, Hari ji has been the driving spirit behind Indica, and grateful to all of them because they make the front end like me happen. But there's so much that goes on in the back end that it is not easy given the fact that they are running so many courses. So I'm grateful to the entire I'm only the tip of the iceberg, but behind me, I stand on the shoulders of a lot of strong people. You heard Dimple ji herself here. Now, a little bit about myself. Of course, there is, modern technology for you. That's my avatara. Of course, we talk about Rama, the avatara, but that's a different category of avatara. So I'm a seeker and a sadhaka. I'm a devotee of Ramana Maharshi. My family affiliation is Yajurveda, Sringeri Peetham, Kanchi Peetham. My Amma was very deeply spiritual. My Appa was very deeply scientific, PhD in chemistry. I myself have done my engineering and a PhD in management. My spiritual influences have been the greats, spiritual greats, Aurobindo, Swami Shivananda, the Divine Life Society, of course, Ramakrishna Mission. I have all their books with me. Chinmaya Mission, I have attended virtually as a little child. I used to attend Swami Chinmayananda. Harsha Vidya Gurukulam, I have attended very many number of their courses across this entire period of my professional and personal lifetime. My worldly influences that is in the world are scientists. That's because of my dad. Army leaders, I have a fascination. I'm a kind of Kshatriya and want to fight out. Then, of course, I've been in business, so there are a lot of business icons. And, of course, social reformers, because, we need to obviously take cue from them because society needs reformation at every point in time. And, of course, we are the most malleable and, we have this difference between Shruti and Smriti. So Smriti is what makes us a very sane society, because if we take the Shruti to be Shruti, then we become like some other religions in the world, stuck to a book. We are not stuck to a book. We are stuck to reality, but we keep changing, and that's been our strength and our capacity as Sanatana Dharma. Of course, professional career has been with actually many American companies and a few Indian ones, as you can see. So Union Carbide, Holiday Inn, then EMC, CA, IBM are all American, NIS, NIIT, and Flipkart, and And of course, TMI is a Danish company. I worked in the areas of maintenance and corporate training, leadership. So my area is essentially leadership development, coaching and mentoring. Of course, I have these professional affiliations. So this is the person. So you would have to be with me all the while, these 17 sessions. But now I'm very happy to share with you when and where, which has always been indicated in terms of it starting on the 18th. It's every Wednesday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. And of course, you know what's going to happen between 6:30 and 8 p.m. as we go session by session, 17 of them all the way till the 9th of April. So with that, I conclude my presentation, but I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have. And I'm going to now sort of go back to the mode of direct contact. So please raise your hands, Dimple ji, or just ask directly.
Thank you so much, Rajshekar ji. I think with your experience and very rightly highlighted, I think even that was just a snapshot of your entire experience. The presentation was succinct, on point, and I think pretty self-explanatory. So I don't really see any questions in the Q&A box. However, having said that, if you have questions about it after you leave the session, this is for the participants who are here with us at this moment. There will be folks who will watch a recording of this on our YouTube channel. So for them, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Indica.courses. A couple of insights generally that we share from our side, because we do not have Q&A and we're kind of making it well within our, we have a question. Well, the lectures, yeah, Dheeraj ji, when we mentioned asynchronous, so because we have people from various time zones attending or registering for courses, every lecture is recorded, and the recording is made available on our learning portal within 72 hours of every session getting concluded. The learning resources, the presentation, or if there's any reading material which is shared by the faculty, is also made available there, so that you can produce it at your convenience should you not be able to make it for a session in real time. So yes, that definitely happens. Any other question? So while I was, I kind of stopped to address Dheeraj's question. So what I was saying is that if later on you have any queries about it, please feel free to reach out to us at reachout@indica.courses. And we also offer scholarships. In addition to this Indica course by Rajshekar ji, we have a plethora of other courses coming up, which you can explore for yourself in Indica.courses. And students who wish to enroll in multiple courses, we always have different offers to ensure that they can, have an affordable experience too, because we do understand the financial aspects. In addition to that, we always offer grants and scholarships to those who are in need of such financial assistance. So for that also, you could mail us, just reach out at indica.courses. Also, sometimes you may not wish to assign or allocate your personal time to this kind of learning because it is dedicated and disciplined. But if you happen to know people who are like-minded seekers and learners and who you feel can benefit, feel free to recommend it to them. Feel free to gift it to them. A birthday gift like our Indica course would actually add a lot of meaning to the lives of your loved ones. We have two more questions. Yes, Dheeraj ji, recordings of those, for the recording of every course is available for at least a year, but that is accessible only to the people who are registered. So every participant of the cohort is able to access the video recording of all the sessions of their course for 1 year. And sometimes we can also extend the access. I hope that addresses. Yes, of course, Sunil Kumarji. Everybody who registered for this weekend webinar, they will receive an email with the recording. And for the rest, we will also put it on our YouTube channel. There's a specially curated playlist on Indica's YouTube channel of Indica Courses Weekend Webinars. This will be added to that as well. But since you have registered and we have your email ID, we will be also emailing you so that you can easily get it in the comfort of your inbox. Any other question? Do you have any comment, Rajshekar ji? Any additional comment before we kind of?
No, so so the comment is this, that I think we should really join this, those of you who are here. And the appeal is not just because obviously, we are running Indica courses, but truly because you see, I'm a guy who keeps reading all this. I've been a seeker, and I can truly say that this is an amazing text. It'll actually, turn around your thinking, and much of the confusion that lies, when we start our journey, we are in a spiritual market, whether to go to this ashram or that ashram. So I can tell you that I've been through all that, and I can share
In,
that
in
that I.
fact, Dheeraj ji in the Q&A is has asked a question which is like kind of pertinent to what I think you were discussing. So maybe you may want to have a look at.
Yes, yes, yes. So, no, I've not taken any Diksha from RK Mission, though my dress looks like that.
Or
No.
Raman Maharshi.
But I am, so there is no Diksha that is given in the Ramana ashram. So the only thing is, the living presence of Ramana is there. Of course, you have to go and experience it. And you have to practice the meditation of Ramana, which is called Who Am I? And as you keep practicing, the presence of Ramana will guide you. So I have been practicing this for many years. I've broken my head because there is no teacher in the Ramana ashram. His books are available, his presence is available. So in that sense, I can definitely say that all that you can say is that you are a devotee of Ramana. I can guide people as to how to begin that who am
Journey.
I meditation. In fact, through Indica, through the kind offices of Indica, I've done two courses. One is, the life and times of Ramana Maharshi, which was a 15 hour. I began the whole
Wow.
engagement with Indica with that. And somewhat in a pioneering fashion, we did a 3-day immersive meditative workshop at the foothills of Tiruvannamalai, looking at the meditative techniques of Ramana Maharshi. So in that sense, yes, you can say that there is no one who claims that he is a shishya और दैट ही इज ऑर्डेन्ड, वो सब नहीं होता है रमन महर्षि के उसमें. बस आप भक्त हो, आप रोज, आप हिंदी तो समझते होंगे, आई एम ब्रेकिंग इनटू हिंदी. आप रोज जो है उनका दिया हुआ ध्यान जो है आप करेंगे, आप अपने आप भक्त बन जाएंगे उनके. दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव टू से. सो आई होप दैट हेल्प्स यू अप्रिशिएट the perspective, but it is the highest, and he's one of the greatest saints of modern India. And of course, very particularly, only those who are interested in the Jnana Marga. So it's not that Bhakti Marga is not there. There's a lot of devotion to Arunachala, the mountain, as well as the ashram itself. But anyway, we are digressing. But then since you asked whether I'm ordained, I thought I must give you clarity.
So glad you did. Dheeraj ji, just to let you know, it's been a personal transformation for me also interacting with Rajshekar ji. As he mentioned, there have been quite a few courses since the first time we began with the blessings of Sri Ramana Maharshi, and the leadership modules that we conducted especially had a lot of people coming back for enrollment, because some of the folks are like deeply awakened or spiritually aware, and some still want to be with the material but want to benefit from the spiritual aspects of it. So we've had a different set of participants for Rajshekar ji's courses. In fact, he offered a course on Vidura Niti, and now, as you know, after this one, we are looking at, and he shared that beautiful analogy, Sas, Bahu, and Sasur Damad. So Ashtavakra Gita is on the annual. So I would encourage you to participate. Just see if it vibes with you. And sometimes if some cohort participants find it a little, not Rajshekar ji's courses, but if you go to our website, you'll see that there's a plethora of courses across various streams of Indian knowledge systems there. And for some beginners, some courses seem a little heavy. And there are times when they have written to us and said that, like initial 2 classes, they felt that, they could not receive what was being given. They were not ready yet. So we have even shifted them to some other courses that they felt were, the ones where they could kind of adjust. So do try it out, Dheeraj ji. And I feel that we have a small sacred space created here. The people who are here today, benefiting from the summary that Rajshekar provided. I think this is not just happenstance. So I would urge you to join the course. And it's not just this because I head this initiative, and this is not a sales pitch, because we are not a sales organization.
Absolutely,
We're
absolutely.
serving here. So we curate courses because we feel passionate enough to create something which is not available out there, which the university system need not necessarily even think of conceiving, designing, or offering. So in that spirit, and in the spirit of offering to the Bhagwan, I feel that you would definitely benefit. This is not just for those who are with us right now, but for those who will watch the recording of this weekend webinar. We hope that you benefited from the condensation, this overview that Rajshekar provided, but we guarantee you that you will definitely leave enriched in April when this course is over. And as we mentioned earlier during this interaction, that we are experimenting with a hybrid kind of a pedagogical technique. So we will have online, and then we will have a 2-day immersion. So we welcome you all. Join us, recommend. I think we're nearing 7. So thank you, Rajshekar ji, for this illuminating session. And thank you to everyone from the bottom of my heart who joined us today. We really hope that this weekend webinar has given you a clear understanding of the Yoga Vasishta Sara Indica course, and how it can enrich your philosophical and spiritual journey. To enroll, you can click on the link that I have shared with you. Share it with like-minded learners and seekers. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out at Indica.courses. We really look forward to supporting you on this profound journey of learning and self-discovery. And thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. See you in class soon. Namaste.
Namaste.